quick note before the video starts, everyone. I'm trying to be a little more professional and engaging in this video, so stick around to the end and let me know how I do throughout. Thanks so much. What is going on, guys? My name is Jordan and welcome back to another episode of the Bucket Coding series on my channel. This hasn't been done in quite a while. I'm really surprised. It took me 4 months. Let me just double check that number. It's down here somewhere. No, that's not it. Yes, 4 months. So it's been 4 months since I actually did something, and that video was just preparation for different Bucket things in Minecraft 1.9. Now we have 1.10, and I still have no idea what I'm doing in this video. But I just kind of wanted to update you saying, no, I'm not dead. It's been almost a month since I've actually uploaded anything. I've been traveling and doing all this stuff, and, you know, YouTube is kind of the hobby thing, so, you know, finally back at it, though. And I just wanted to say thank you for almost 100,000 views, as you can see up here. We have 99,979. So we're about 31 away, and this video is going to be the one that pushes that up to the top, as far as I know. Just guessing. So it's been 3 years. April 23rd is when I started this channel back in, it would have been 2013. So this is crazy. I just did this as a hobby, and it got me pretty far. I have 1,071 subscribers. That's awesome. And I'm very, very excited for whatever comes next. So let's go ahead and hop right into this. We're going to be doing custom crafting. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. It's actually been so long since I've actually done anything bucket wise. So we're just gonna use this one class, nothing too special. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna say bucket.getServer.add recipe. So there we go. We're just gonna say null. I'm used to Swift, so I typed nil. So we're gonna say recipe is equal to bucket.getServer. What's the alright, everyone, so my mistake, it's actually shaped recipe is what we want for this. I'm going to say recipe is going to be equal to new shaped recipe. And this guy is going to require an item stack. So let's go ahead and give it a new item stack. Let's say material dot, let's go bedrock. Why not? So now, oh, okay, so this is what item it gives you. So it's going to give me bedrock. So it's basically, this is going to be a plugin to craft bedrock. So now what we're going to say is we're going to say recipe.shape is going to be equal to that. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go like this and put a comma there, go down. There we go. Now we're going to say whoops, not for, and we're going to put a hashtag. So what this basically will mean is we're going to have the @ be equal to a certain material or item, and the hashtag is going to be a certain material or item. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to say recipe dot, I'm going to say set ingredient, set ingredient char key. Okay. We're going to set the @ and this is going to be equal to material dot, we're going to set this to obsidian. And now what we're going to say is we're going to say recipe.set ingredient, and we're going to set the hashtag is going to be equal to material dot, and then we're going to say let's say milk, because milk is never used in any, actually there is no crafting recipe for milk. There needs to be like cheese or something. Come on now, that'd be awesome. But there we go. So now what we have to do is we're just going to go down here and say add recipe, replace null with recipe. And that is actually, believe it or not, that's it for making a custom crafting recipe. It's very, very simple, but we're going to play around with this a little bit more after we build and run this. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get a crafting table. Pop that down. We're also going to need some obsidian, so I'm just going to grab a stack of that. And we're going to need a milk bucket. I'm going to grab a few of these. Okay, so if our crafting recipe is correct, we need to put obsidian where there's @ and milk bucket where there's a hashtag. So let's just go like this. And a milk bucket. And there we go, we get bedrock, which is awesome. We now have a way to craft bedrock. Finally, it is quite a weird crafting recipe, but hey, that's what you wanted, so yeah. There we go. Okay, great. That milk bucket was used. Just take the bedrock there. Awesome. So now we have a way to craft bedrock. Pretty cool. I actually forgot to put this in here, but we're going to be making dynamic crafting recipes so that people can add to a file and then they can craft it in game from what they put in the file. So now let's go ahead and disconnect and power off all of the server and all that, just so we don't get any insane performance draining here. Okay, so we're going to need our file system, and I'm going to quickly do that off camera and get everything file-wise set up, and you guys can do the same thing. But basically all it's going to have is just a way to access the config file or the data file or whatever, and then save it and all that. So I'll be right back. Alright everyone, so it's been quite a bit. I had dinner, and I think it's actually been like an hour or two now. Alright, but I am ready to go. We've made our file system here. We just have to call the onEnable method really quick. So let's just say custom crafting manager.get instance to onEnable this. So now it's just going creating our data.yml file in our plugin folder, and making sure that plugin folder exists before we put anything in it, and then making some basic methods for setting the file config and getting it and then saving it. So I think we should be good to go. So now what we need, we have all the file things out of the way. Let's go ahead and say public string, let me use the other keyboard, get rest, actually, public void, actually, let's put this in onEnable, because that makes the most sense, because that's when everything gets enabled. So let's say list string, yeah, sure, list string, actually, not even, let's say for string, for string str colon, let's say list, give me 1 second to think of how I'm going to structure this data. Alright everyone, so this is how it's going to work. We're going to have this recipes node, and then it's going to go down into a list, and we can just go ahead and delete all this real quick. And it's going to be formatted as something like this. We're going to have this, the first argument, or the first string in our string array that we're going to create from splitting, whenever this is semicolon here. Completion is going to be equal to the material we want to be crafted. So say we want to get bedrock out of this full diamond combo here. That's what would happen. And right here, this is the string array that we use for the crafting recipe, and then everything after this will basically go and say, okay, this character is going to be equal to this material. And so we should be good to go. Let's just go ahead and start this loading in here. So we're going to say for, actually we're just going to say list string recipes is going to be equal to get data file config.get string list, and we're going to say recipes, oops, extra I there, and we're going to say if recipes equals null, and create new one, which is just going to be this. We're going to say recipes.add. Is it add? Add, yes it is. Cool. Now that we have that, what's this? Okay. Recipes is no. Oh, whoops. We need to make recipes equal to a new array list. And there we go. Okay, awesome. So, now that we have this all set up, we now know that there has to be something within recipes. Let's go ahead and make our function to iterate through everything. So we're going to say for string recipe colon recipes. So for every single string we have in this string list, we are going to do something. So we're going to say string array options is going to be equal to recipe dot split, and we're going to split at the semicolon. Do we have to escape this? No, we do not. Okay, great. So now we have our options array. We know the first argument needs to be our completion. But in the event it's not, we're just going to exit out. So we're going to say options index of 0 dot contains completion. And we're going to put in that. We're just going to say return. So print, whoops, no, system. Actually, we can just say plugin. We get logger dot severe. First argument for recipe plus recipe wasn't the completion argument. Great. So now that we have that going, first of all, I actually just noticed we need to make sure that options actually contains the index we want. So we're just gonna, throughout the entire thing, we're just gonna say try and catch index out of bounds exception EX. And we're just gonna wrap this guy in there. So go ahead and space that out properly, and we're good to go. So now everything has to be within this index or in this array, or else it won't finish registering the recipe. So now that we have this, we're just gonna say index out of bounds. Parsing failed. So now that we have this, we can just go ahead and so the second argument absolutely needs to be the string array that we're going to use or create for the recipe. Now what we're going to say is okay, so I am thinking in Swift. String format is going to be equal to options index of 1 dot split comma. So now still needs to be a string array. Now that we have this, we can make our format for our recipe. So we're just going to say shape recipe. Shaped recipe. Recipe is going to be equal to. Actually, we're just going to call the shape recipes new shape recipe. Oh, okay. So this is where we need to create our final material. So we're just going to not even initialize this guy yet. Shape recipe dot shape. Okay, so we're just gonna call the shape method. We're gonna say format, and so we're gonna say actually that's what our completion is. So now we can just go ahead and say string completed is going to be equal to options index of 0 dot split equals index of 1, because it's gonna be our second argument here. Actually, we're just gonna go a step further. Material completed is going to be material dot value of boom, and we're also going to say to uppercase. Right here, we're also going to add in down here the option for material. No, actually, it's like a num constant not present exception. Great. So now we're just going to say new shape recipe for a new item stack completed. Obviously, you could expand this to be an item stack that you would have quantity and all this other data for, but that is not what we're going for. So we can just, not do anything there. Great. So now that we have this, we need to go ahead and say exactly what these guys mean. So now we just need to say for. We're going to say every single argument after. So we're just going to say int x is going to be equal to 0. Actually, let's set this equal to option. Actually, it'll have to be 2 at least, because that is the index we want. So, or the index after these two have been finished. So now what we're going to say is we're going to say x is less than options dot length and x plus plus. So now we're iterating over the different options we have. Actually, let's go ahead and say ex plus, and then that's we can get the error name. Okay, just noticed that. So now what we're gonna say is we're gonna say okay, string string define. We're just gonna call it define, whatever. It's going to be equal to options index of x. Cool. So now we actually need to make a boolean iterated equals false, and we're just going to go into here and say iterated equals true. And if we did not iterate, we're just going to return, because if we did not, if we didn't properly say this symbol in our string array up here in our format array, then we need to, not do anything, because there's no definition. It's going to have trouble figuring out exactly what you want. So now what we want to do is we want to say after define is in here, we're just going to say shape recipe dot set ingredient define index of 0. Actually, we need to say define dot split. We're going to say equals. We're going to say index of 0 dot actually, and then comma. We need to say, what's the next argument? material, that's right. So now we just need to say this thing again, except we just need define dot split equals, and then we can just change this a little bit. Define dot split equals index of 1, and we can just get rid of that. Cool. So that might have been a bit confusing. Whoops. Let's fix that. So what's this guy's deal? Set ingredient. What's the... Oh, it's because it thinks this is a string. So we just need character dot tochar. Actually, dot tochar. Whoops, not tochar. Hooray! That's not really what we want. How can we turn this into a char? What the heck? That's the weirdest thing. I swear there was a tochar method, but hey, we'll just say string dot. Should we just say character dot tochar? Okay, hold on 1 second. What the heck? All right, so we're just gonna be kind of lazy with it. We're just gonna say tochar array index of 0. So let's go over exactly what we're doing here. We're iterating through the rest of the options past this point. So anything from here on out for all our different options, we're gonna say, let's split this up and make sure and turn it into a char array so we can get this as a character. And then we're going to get what that character is out of this char array. And so in this case, it would take this string right here, and it would say, okay, so we know our character's at. We're splitting this defined string we have from this option iteration here. And now that we have that, we know we can go ahead and define that. Then the next part is defining exactly what this diamond piece is, turning that into a material, putting it uppercase, and if that fails down here, this will say parsing failed. So now after we're sure everything is ready to go, let's just go ahead and say bucket dot get add recipe. Actually, let's just say plugin dot add get server dot add recipe shaped recipe. There we go. Now we're just gonna go ahead and log really quick as an info. I'm just gonna say created recipe exclamation point. So right, actually up here real quick, we just want to say get data file config.set. We're gonna say recipes. We're gonna set this equal to our recipes string array that we just create, or our array list that we just created up here, just in case it doesn't exist. We'll have something to work off of. So now we're ready to go. And if we run this, it'll just give us our completion bedrock, all this normal stuff. And let's go ahead and just take this in here. Alright everyone, so basically what happened there is I couldn't figure out why it wasn't saving or loading properly. I'm not entirely sure what was going on. But now everything, I just skipped ahead and manually added all the recipes via the code and ran it through the parse that we made, which is the most important part. Okay, now for some reason it thinks that recipes is always null. We're just going to go ahead and quickly go into here. Actually, what happens if we add... Let's just add a few recipes just to prove that this part of the video works. We're going to set this equal to obsidian. We're going to set this guy equal to sponge. This guy's going to give us obsidian. And this guy's going to give us dirt from, well, dirt. I don't know. Actually, no, it's going to give us sponge from dirt. And cool. So now let's, okay, that's, in theory, this should work. Let's go ahead and build this. And drag, drop, or copy, paste in there. Awesome, we now have that, so this should have all been just generated. It said created recipe 3 times. So now, joining the server, we should be able to grab, or give to ourselves, give controls dirt 64, why not? So now, if we fill this up with dirt, it should give us a sponge. Awesome. Now if we do that a couple more times, we need one more sponge, or two more. Boom. Now we have enough to make a piece of obsidian, which can then be transferred to make a piece of bedrock. Awesome. So you can see we can chain things like that and do all sorts of crazy stuff. Obviously my configuration thing didn't work, so I spent a ton of time trying to figure out why that wasn't working. That's okay though. At least we know that the crafting parser is working. So this is basically this is the bulk here. You just iterate through your recipe list and do all this, and then you will, if everything goes to plan, everything should work. And you'll be able to make custom recipes using just one string. Now let's actually go ahead and make a proof of concept here. Say hashtag. We're going to go ahead and go into here and make the bottom corner a hashtag. And this time, this hashtag is going to be equal to, I think it's cobweb, or is it just web? Let me just double check. Material.cobweb. No, it's just web. So we're going to set this equal to web, and so we're gonna need one web along with along with all of that obsidian. And in theory, if everything worked fine, we should get bedrock with all that obsidian and a web corner. So let's just go ahead and game mode C. I'm gonna take a web, and we need more obsidian. Now go ahead and make that crafting format. Awesome. So you can see we can make as many ingredients as we want, obviously up to the normal crafting size, but you know, hey, still pretty good. All you have to do is just modify your format, and you add another type in here, and it'll work just fine. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more bucket coding or just programming videos in general, definitely let me know. I've tried to be a little more professional and engaging with this video, so please let me know how I did. As I probably said in the beginning of the video, I'll see about that. But hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.